So this is number one. If I rest my attention at the pain in my body, will it release the pain by giving it attention? And is that one of nature's rules? That is quite, it does seem to be one of nature's rules. And this isn't about you awakening. Just forget about awakening with process. But yeah, this is one of, it does seem to be one of nature's rules. It's like when you learn Reiki, putting the other day I sprained my ankle when I was out walking, and I was screwed because I was really in the middle of nowhere, and so I just put all my attention on it innocently, not trying to get out of it or not for any motivation. The attention just went to it, um, and um, and then within 10 minutes I was up walking again. I was limping for a little bit, but then I was able to carry on, and I did another hour's walk with the dogs. And it's the same with emotions and feelings in the body. Like, just rest the attention there. Like when the kid feels a feeling, it doesn't try to avoid it, it just feels it to its max, and then it passes. The same with a dog. You know, if Khaleesi gets scared, she's like, she does all the shaking thing, but and then it's gone. What the human does is it tries to go up to thinking and imagination to escape all emotions, and it actually perpetuates the emotion and the feeling. And then it lies, it gets into this complicated web of deceit. So if it feels jealous, it often then in its mind is telling the story how much it hates the person that it loves because it feels jealous. So it gets into all these complicated stories from years and years of keep going into imagination to escape what's feeling. So it keeps going up into this area and putting all the attention here. So often when I'm saying to people go down to their bodies, they can't. They just feel immense pressure in their head. But this part of it, so I'm not saying to you though, release your emotions or release your feelings and you'll awaken. That's not what I'm saying when I'm saying all this. And I'm not actually saying there is a separate you there that can do that, because you don't actually exist. But it feels like if I say to you, put your attention there, there can be a doing of that. So it feels like you can do it, but it's not actually you doing it. It's a functioning, just like if I say to Siri on my phone, which I do this many times, I say,
I'm not sure I understand.
Hi Siri. What is the most expensive dog in the world?
Let me check on that.
So
okay, I found this on the web for what is the most expensive dog in the world.
So I asked him what was the most expensive dog, and then he came up with a list of websites. I got distracted by that. Far out. 970,000. Tibetan Mastiff. Far out. Wow. So like I can ask Siri questions and it appears like he can follow instructions. There isn't actually him in the phone that can do that. So I can say to you, give the attention to the feelings, even though that's not someone with free will. Don't get into the idea that that's who you are. That's an appearance, that's a functioning appearing in wakeness. The one that moves the attention down to the feelings is known. That's not the knower. But I can say it and then there will be a doing of it. And this is really, really good and beautiful and profound things to do. And then at the same time, listen to non-duality. And this isn't about you waking up. I'm not saying this is the path to waking up, because ultimately there is no path to waking up. But it's a really good thing to do to balance everything out. And then at the same time, keep listening to non-duality. And then when the energy is ready, it will swap from being someone personal to boundlessness. But so many people that I meet that are listening to non-duality, they're trying to use non-duality to heal very difficult problems that they have in their personality. And everybody, every separate self has really bizarre conditioning because they're basing their life on a lie that they exist separately. So then they go into all these really weird dreams and ideas about themselves and so many bizarre stories, and then they come to non-duality and they try to use non-duality to help with all their neurotic conditioning, and then they try to condition themselves into being nobody, which isn't going to work. This is just going to make you more dead and more confused. And really what it's about is everything coming back to life again, stopping living in this contracted small space and a total honesty. So a total dropping into what's happening. So when I cry, I just cry. I'm not in some mental story about whose fault it is or why I'm crying. I'm just crying. When I'm angry, I'm just angry. Even if it's something else and I'm going, you screwed me over, you fucker, or whatever I'm saying, there is just anger there, but it's innocent. The separate person, though, it goes and lives in its head, and it believes it is someone, has free will, and all these bizarre neuro pathways start in the head, and all this bizarre way of looking at the world starts. And so putting the focus back onto the feelings is really going to balance the person out. It's going to tidy the cage, make you loads less neurotic, loads less neurotic, and make you happier and healthier, which is great, and more honest and more genuine. And then when the time is ready, there will be this shift over, rather than when I found that I was just talking about pure Advaita, I was meeting so many people that were just pretending to be nobodies, which is such a bore to be around. They're dead. And then they're always trying to justify that they're nobody, rather than living in stories about themselves. They're always living in a story about non-duality, which is not what I'm talking about at all. So I think it's great that a teacher is always shifting the way that they speak, because it really pulls the rug out from those people that are listening. And maybe some of you are attached to the old way I speak. Maybe some of you love the new way I speak, but maybe some of you are attached to the old way I speak, and so it might be hurting you. But then rather than an honesty about that, more than likely what you'll do is you'll tell a story about how I'm wrong. But why are you telling a story about stuff? You're only ever trying to tell a story about stuff and trying to justify your discomfort in order to escape things. It's not that it's actually talking about what's happening. So you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling like you're losing something by me changing the way I speak, and then you start telling the story about how I'm wrong, or how I've had people saying that I'm falling from grace or whatever it is, but really underneath that there's fear. And so you can just move your attention to that fear and become honest about it, and it will just go through the body, rather than you could spend 2 years telling people about what a shit story I am and building up this story, what a shit teacher I am, and building up this whole story about me. You can do whole lifetimes with telling stories about people and events and things that have happened to you, and really underneath you just feel scared and out of control. And if there's just a movement of that attention onto those feelings, they will just begin to move through the body, and you won't be stuck on that identity. You'll become so much more flexible and free as a person. And then when that energy is ready to shift, that from being that person to boundlessness, it's ready to shift, and the person's become such a nicer, more balanced, happier person, which is really beautiful. But the cause of the shift is so mysterious, and you can't tell a story about it. It happens, and it's so unique to each person. The path of each person you could not possibly put into words. It is the path that presents itself. It is life. Can you repeat again the 3 dimensions? Is it like there is Ramona, and there is Ramona putting her attention inside her body, and then there is awareness of Ramona doing that, Right. Okay, so the separate self works like this. I have to tell you guys, my mind is for shit tonight. Like I can I think I'm messing up my words a lot, right? I'm not sure. But sometimes the functioning brain isn't great here. Like it gets my words back to front. And sometimes comes when I feel immense bliss. It's like my brain goes into slow motion. You see, I cannot even remember what Ramona asked me. It's amazing that I can even remember there's Ramona. But hopefully you'll all tell me that I'm functioning normally. It appears as if I'm normal. I'm speaking normally. Okay, and God is all, okay, so Ramona putting, okay. So this is how the separate self works. The separate self works by dividing itself. So normally as a separate person, you have one or two voices inside your head. So you're someone and then you're speaking to someone else that's listening to you. So you're like, oh, Lisa, look how amazing her earrings are. Wow, they're so amazing. So that's happening seemingly inside the body. But there's somebody talking, and so then there's also this divide because you feel like there's somebody listening to you. So somebody's like, so this happens in your head. Oh, wow, what amazing earrings she has. And then another voice is like, oh, actually, you know, they look a little bit cheap. I'm not sure if I like them. I've seen other earrings. I like more of hers. So it's like you're having a conversation in your head and there's two of you. Now, most people won't want to admit this because they'll be like, she's saying I'm schizophrenic. But normally you're having a conversation with yourself in your head. So there's a divide of two. Sometimes this two becomes more. There could be 4 or 5 or 6, depends. But you generally take positions. So one of the voices likes the earrings, the other's unsure. The other one is thinking about, should I go and have my dinner now? She's a little bit boring. Another one's thinking, is she going to speak with Alango again tonight? She speaks with him all the time. So there's all these different thoughts going on, but all of them are speaking as if they're speaking to someone. So, and this is what feels like you, and generally it feels like it's inside the head or behind the eyes, and it feels like that person is generally there, but it can move to other parts of the body, or it looks down onto other parts of the body. So it has energy in the neck, energy in the heart, energy in the stomach, and depending on these different energies, the voices will be a certain way. So if you're feeling a lot of fear and you're in your stomach, which tends to be the way if it's fear, there's a lot of energy in there, then there's fear, and this voice is like, oh, why am I so scared? Da, 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 da. But this isn't on regular most people's awareness, but this is people that have been listening to my talks, they become more aware of this. And there's not only lots of different levels and layers to you, like there's lots of different ways in which you are, you're a different person with different emotions, different input. And you also normally have an image, but I forget, an image in your head of yourself as well. I've forgotten about that part. So you normally also, every so often when you're thinking about yourself or when you're having those conversations in your head, you also have this vague image of yourself. Normally not looking through the eyes of yourself, but actually physically looking from outside at yourself. And this whole combination with the energies makes that feel like you and that you live inside the body. But actually, there is something that knows that. So the whole time that voice is appearing of like, wow, what amazing earrings. No, the earrings are awful. Oh, should we have dinner now? All those thoughts are appearing, but that's appearing in something. Something else knows that, which doesn't speak, which doesn't have an opinion. So that's being known, that voice, and that energy of feeling like you're inside. That all appears in knowing. So something knows that. So that's appearing in presence. And so that separate one that's behind the what eyes also feels like it has choice and free will and it can move attention, but that's not you. That's a functioning which is known. Just like the light or the rain, it's appearing in the dream. It's an experience in the dream. It's not the experiencer. The suffering comes from that energetic claim that that's who you are and you're inside the body. Actually, you're this awakeness which is everywhere. This presence which is all things, which is so beautiful. Okay, Ramona, I think that's nearly all. And God is all and shows the way to oneness in which God is not even the teacher, but there is simply no Ramona any more, only God, love. So attention equals love equals God. Not attention, but consciousness of the attention. Thanks, Ramona. Okay.